Hey there. Was thinking about something this morning. It was this afternoon, actually. Thought it was kind of a powerful thought, so I want to share it with you guys. Before we jump in, tonight I am drinking Peerless. It's their small batch. I would not say it is without peer, but I would say it's a very cool bottle that you don't see here in North Carolina a lot. And it tastes good. All right. So let's get started. I was talking to a client this afternoon, and we were talking just about life change. And you're ever in that place where, like things aren't going necessarily the way you want them to, or not even in that place, things are going well, but you're not doing the things that you wish you were doing. You need more discipline in your life, you need better habits, you need more concentration on your goals. It's that time of year where I tend to, for the last 10 years, is the time of year where I am strategic and I put goals in writing. I'll do these goals multiple times. It's what we teach at my company, at the core training. We will go in and we will sit down and we'll go through goal setting. We'll put numbers and not just goals, but a plan in place to achieve those goals. So it's that time of year where we think about change. And I was reminded, just in this conversation that I was having this afternoon, of an all-time classic by Charles Dickens, A Christmas Carol. And just discussing what does it take to properly bring about life change. And this is something I want you to think about as we go into the next year, is thinking about what is it going to take for you to bring about the necessary change in your life and in your behaviors, more specifically, so that your life changes the way that you want it to change. Because our lives are a result predominantly of our behaviors, and it's the little things that we do on a regular basis that add up over time to create the life that we have. And thinking of that classic tale of Ebenezer Scrooge, think about it. It starts off, and Ebenezer Scrooge is not the most popular guy. He's completely consumed with his business and with money. He has no gratitude in his life. He has no generosity in his life. He's gracious to no one. Right? He's very successful. He's very successful. And as just focused on his success and focused on money. Your typical evil capitalist, I guess you would say. And the story starts off talking about his partner Marley, and his partner Marley was like him. They ran this business together. Marley's dead. As Charles Dickens says, he's dead as a doornail. And the story really starts off where Marley's ghost comes to Ebenezer Scrooge on the night of Christmas Eve, and he's in chains. And he's coming to Ebenezer Scrooge and he says, Ebenezer, we were doing the wrong thing. We lived our lives, and now I'm in chains after my death. It's too late for me, but it's not too late for you, Ebenezer. So somebody has to tell us, step number one, someone has to tell us that the life that we are living is not as good as it could be. Maybe you're not Scrooge, but the life you are living is not the life that you should be living. You can live better. It's okay, right? So Marley comes in and he tells Ebenezer Scrooge, hey, you don't want to continue living your life the way that you have. Look at me. I'm in chains. It's too late for me, but it's not too late for you. You need to make some changes. And Scrooge is, thinking, maybe I just ate some bad food. This is a weird stomach bug that I've got. Seeing ghosts. What's going on here? But Marley tells him, listen, it's not too late for you. You're going to be visited by three spirits. And it's these three spirits that, the more I think about it, they really will help us with putting purposeful goals or intentions in place for next year, and have some meaning behind it. So he says you're going to be visited by three spirits. The first one's going to show up when the clock strikes 12. So 12 a.m. on Christmas Day, the clock goes 12 rings, and the ghost of Christmas past haunts Ebenezer Scrooge and takes him back in time to memories of previous Christmases. And I think that's something that's important for any person as you're looking at what are you going to accomplish next year. Well, first you got to figure out how you got here. How did you get here? Right? What things do you have to be grateful for in your past? What past trauma or heartbreak have you not getting past? I think a lot of the times we don't get past heartbreak or trauma or disappointment that happened to us in the past, and it gets us to live. I don't want to say forces us. We're hanging on to that past, and it's preventing us from living in abundance, right? We live in fear. We live in scarcity because we're hanging on to something in the past and we haven't addressed it. So the ghost of Christmas past comes and shows Ebenezer some good memories from his past, some sad memories, just shows him how he got to where he is now, right? Second ghost that visits Ebenezer Scrooge on that Christmas morning is the ghost of Christmas present. And the ghost of Christmas present comes and shows Ebenezer all that's going on in the world that he's not aware of, right? Takes him to his employee, Bob Cratchit. I don't think it's Bob Cratchit, but his employee, Cratchit, what have you, whatever his name is, and shows him how he's broke. He's like poor. He's like, wow, this guy's so poor. He's like, well, Ebenezer, you don't really pay him very well. You're a bit of a miser, right? And but he sees Bob Cratchit and Tiny Tim and his family, and he sees how much joy is in their household and how happy they are that it's Christmas, even though they've got just such meager, dinner for Christmas Eve, and so little apparently to be grateful for. They're very grateful. And Tiny Tim is terribly sick, right? Like really, really sick, and not in good condition whatsoever. But the kid's so full of joy, and he's so grateful, and he prays and he thanks God for Scrooge and for all the blessings that they have. He shows Scrooge his nephew. He shows in how his nephew just makes fun of him for being such a Scrooge, right? Really just opens Ebenezer's eyes to what other people have and how they live and how they're grateful and what other people think of him. So you got to start with your past, right? How did you get here? And then you have to look at, right, where am I now? Like take a real cold, hard look in the mirror and see, man, what do I have to be grateful for? But also, what am I doing wrong? The final ghost or spirit that visits Scrooge that Christmas morning is the ghost of Christmas yet to come. And that's something where when you think about your goal setting, I think this is one of the most powerful questions we can ask ourselves, right? The ghost of future or future Christmas or Christmas yet to come. It shows Ebenezer things that have not come to pass, things that are not necessarily guaranteed to come to pass, but it's just the future as it stands that Christmas morning. If Ebenezer doesn't change, and Tiny Tim dies, which is really sad. He doesn't get the help that he needs. So that tears Scrooge up a bit. He starts to get soft at this point. It's 3 a.m. in the morning. He's pretty tired, so he gets a little, he gets some empathy. But they go and see these guys that are talking about somebody that died, and they're at his funeral, and there's no one there for him. No loved ones. Nobody's mourning him, and they're talking about how nobody liked this guy, how selfish and greedy he was. No one's gonna be sad that he's gone. And Scrooge is talking to the ghost of Christmas Present, like, man, this poor guy. Who is this guy? Nobody likes him. Here he is. He's dead. No one's mourned him. And come to find out, he brushes the snow off of the tombstone, and it's Scrooge, right? So when we're looking into next year and we're thinking about what goals we have, what we intend to accomplish, we need to look at it not through the lens of, how much money will I make, right? How successful will I be? But we need to look at it through the lens of, what am I going to do next year to impact the world in a positive way so that my funeral, people are talking about good things that I did for them, or ways that my testimony and the way that I lived my life impacted them positively. So that's something you really have to ask yourself. What is, John Maxwell put it this way in, I think the 26 laws of leadership, maybe it's 21, 20 something laws of leadership, but he calls it your life sentence. What is your life sentence? When you're pushing up daisies, which will happen to every single one of us, unless Jesus takes us home first, what is that sentence going to be? What are people going to say at your funeral? Who's going to be at your funeral? How many people are going to be there? What are they going to be talking about? Are there going to be a lot of people mourning you? Are people going to be celebrating your life? Are you going to have impacted them in a positive way, that they're there and they feel that they owe not just you, but they owe people that are still living, hey, I learned these lessons and I want to share these lessons. So think about this. Ebenezer Scrooge, greedy. He's complaining that his employees want to take Christmas Day off. At least this is how it happened in the Muppets version. I've seen a couple of different versions of it. I'm sure you've all seen and have your favorite rendition of Christmas Carol. But he's complaining like, oh gosh, Christmas Day, just another excuse for someone to rob, take some money out of a man's pocket, take a day off of work, right? Like that greedy of a nasty dude, to being visited by the ghost of Christmas past, Christmas present, and Christmas yet to come, looking how he got to where he is, looking at the real situation of where he is and what he does have to be grateful for and what people actually think of him. And then a glimpse into the future of, if he continues his life in the way that it is, what his funeral is going to look like. And that enacts change in his life, and in true classic literary sense, and happy ending to a story. Christmas morning, he's a changed man. You guys have seen the movie. He opens the windows. He's like, "Hey, what day is it?" And the kid's freaked out. He's like, "It's Christmas, sir." And he's like, "Oh my gosh, it is. It's Christmas. How amazing it!" Right? And this is the guy that was a grumpy old man at the beginning. Now he's like giddy that it's Christmas Day. And that switch, that change, comes from looking at how we got to where we are taking a cold, hard look in the mirror of where we are at the present, and then deciding what we want our future to look like, and or what we do not want our future to look like. And that's what I want you to think about, and I would love it if you took some time to think about those things. How did you get here? Where are you now? Where are you going? It's a great time of year to think about these things, and it's just a very important time. And I'd be remiss if I didn't conclude with the real reason for the season, right? I don't know where you are in your walk with God, if you believe that God exists or that He can be known, but those same three things hold true. I mean, look at the past. Look at how we got to where we are today, right? The human race has a sin problem. Look at yourself and look at the present, like where you are now. You got to ask yourself, hey, am I right with God right now? What do I have to be grateful for? Am I where I need to be spiritually? And look at the future. Where do you want your future to be? Make that decision. The only person that can truly enact heart change in the heart of a man or a woman is Jesus Christ. And He has come here to be with us. I saw something great today, actually. I think my dad shared it on Instagram. And I don't know, John, I don't remember the guy. It was like a clip of a sermon. But basically the person was like, yeah, like we make the assertion that not only is there one God, and not only did He create everything and is He sovereign over anything, but the audacity of that one God who created everything to step into His creation and live holy as a man, holy with the W I'm talking about, and holy, like completely a man. We're the only, to my knowledge, Christianity is the only people that assert that Creator stepped in and participated in His creation and lived a sacrificial life to reconcile creation to Him. And that's the beauty of Christmas. And as we're looking at our goals and everything for next year, I want to encourage you to look. How did you get here? How are you doing now? And what do you want the future to look like? Thanks so much for your time. I wish you guys a Merry Christmas. I hope you do great with your business planning and your goal setting, your New Year's resolutions. You can call me anytime or message me. I would love to take some time to get to know your story personally. Would love to hear your story. And if there's anything that I can do to help you, I absolutely would love to do it. Thanks so much.